Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. So I have traveled for the past 3 to 4 years around Georgia making as many hiking videos. In the process, I tried to hit as many waterfall trails as I possibly could. Thus, I ended up compiling a list of 49 prominent waterfalls in the state of Georgia. But out of all of them, I've been to I think about 44 or 45 of them. The others are either on private property or I haven't been there yet. And for the ones I missed, please drop it down in the comments below for all of us. Therefore, the overwhelming majority being accessible, here's a massive bucket list for you. Starting at number 1 in alphabetical order, Amicalola Falls. This is Georgia's tallest waterfall. It's a 729-foot cascade and the crown jewel of the state. Not only is it one of the most beautiful waterfalls in Georgia, but it's also one of the state's 7 natural wonders. Videos do not do this justice. Please visit it in person. Also, I really enjoy the staircase alongside the waterfall as well, showcasing all of the cascades. Furthermore, it's not too far away from Dahlonega, a very good mountain town. Next up, Ammons Falls. This small, peaceful waterfall with a shallow pool at the bottom is on the same hike as Holcomb Creek Falls, which we'll get to a little bit later on. However, Ammons Falls is the first on the trail. This 40-foot rolling cascade is a little warm-up for the massive waterfall at the end. At number 3 is Angel Falls. This is a tranquil plunge waterfall framed by dense forest. Angel Falls is a 90-foot cascade in Rabun County. While it looks extremely cool with the drone footage right here, unfortunately when you're there, most of the upper section of the waterfall is actually covered by brush. However, you're able to see the upper section from a distance, so that's pretty cool. And the overall trail is pretty nice as well, with an additional waterfall called Panther Falls, which we'll be getting to a little bit later on. And next up, Anoruby Falls. Fed by Curtis and York Creeks, this twin waterfall is a must visit. The short half-mile trail there is also one of the most scenic stretches in the state, in my opinion, for a variety of reasons. It's within the verdant beauty of Unicoi State Park and located very close to Helton, Georgia, a Bavarian German town which is also something you must see at least once. It's 153 feet total, and it's basically 2 waterfalls combined into one, making it awesome. And next up, Bearden Falls. Hidden in the Dawson Forest, Bearden Falls is an untamed, multi-tiered gem at 80 feet. It's also a secluded retreat since there's not too many people on this hiking trail. So if you're into large waterfalls without the crowd, this is a great choice. Next up, the very small Becky Branch Falls. Although it's only 20 feet, it's actually very close to the highway near the trailhead if you're hiking the Bartram Trail from the Becky Branch Falls and Martin Creek Falls trailhead. Next up, and I love this one, is Blue Hole Falls. Here is a dreamy plunge waterfall with a clear pool. It offers a very cool sanctuary for those trekking through the High Shoals Creek Trail in the North Georgia mountains. And why I say that? It has a swinging rope and a very large pool where many people choose to swim. It's not too often where you get to swing jump into a pool nearby a waterfall. I recommend you be careful if you do this, but overall, such a cool experience. At number 8 is Bridal Falls, aka Sliding Rock. True to its name, you can literally slide down this waterfall and it looks dangerous, but it's really not. I did it about 5 times when I was there and it was smooth and very fun. It's accessible only by the Tallulah Floor Gorge hike, which only gives out 100 permits a day and is weather dependent. We had to get in line around 7:30 in the morning to get them, but it was absolutely worth it. Not only is it one of my favorite hikes in the state, but also sliding down this waterfall waterfall is so much fun. A lot more fun than a typical water slide in my opinion. Furthermore, being on the Tallulah Gorge floor, you're surrounded by towering cliffs, making it very cool. Next up, also located on the Tallulah Gorge floor, is Caledonia Cascade. At 600 feet, it's tied for Georgia's second tallest waterfall. However, because the stream isn't tough for this waterfall at all, most people walk right by it, not even knowing that they're walking past Georgia's second tallest waterfall. But you're able to get a better view of the entire waterfall, I believe from either overlook 8 or 9 on the other side of the gorge rim. Next up at number 10 is Cascade Falls on Pine Mountain Trail. Located in middle Georgia, it's one of the rare waterfalls in the region. It also borders the town Warm Springs, which is near Roosevelt's Little White House. Also a pretty cool tourist spot, but you can plan a pretty cool day trip to this hiking trail. Yeah, it's a very small 5-foot waterfall. However, the colorful rocks surrounding it, along with the pretty clear pool at the bottom, is a very peaceful experience. Next up, Cherokee Falls, and this waterfall is located at the bottom of Cloudland Canyon on the Waterfalls Trail. It's a 60-foot free-fall plunging waterfall into a serene pool surrounded by the massive canyon. The trail also has a separate waterfall called Hemlock Falls, which we'll get to a little bit later on. And at number 12, also tied for the second tallest waterfall in Georgia, Cochrans Falls. It's a 600-foot cascade, and funny enough, barely anybody hikes here. Let alone, most people don't even know about this waterfall. And I believe that is because towards the end of the trail near the falls, it gets very sketchy and a little bit dangerous. So unless you're using a drone, or if you can fly, there's not a great spot to view the falls, besides a very small section right up next to it. And at number 13, and so far on the list, this is the only one that I haven't been to. Some even call it Deer Leap Falls, but this is the only picture that I have of it. It seems to be a small free-falling waterfall located on private property. Therefore, you can't see it. But the next waterfall at number 14, Cupid Falls, this one is open to the public near Young Harris or Hiawassee, Georgia. However, I also haven't been to this one either. That's why I just have this picture here. Let alone a 50-foot waterfall. I might plan a trip going there sometime soon. But this next one, Desoto Falls, one of my favorite waterfalls in the state. It has many different tiers. Some are cascades, some are just free-falling drops. But it's also a great hiking trail through incredibly dense nature through the Chattahoochee National Forest. So if you include lower falls, middle falls, and upper falls, it's one of the top 5 tallest waterfalls in the state at 480 feet. It's named after the Spanish explorer Hernando de Soto because legend has it, he was believed to have passed through this area during his expedition in the 1540s. Next up, Dix Creek Falls. Located in the northeastern tip of the state in Rabun County, Dix Creek Falls slides 60 feet into the Chattooga River. Both the waterfall and the vast, rough river are very scenic, definitely worthy of a trip. And at number 17, Dickson Falls on Lost Wall. Located in North Georgia, like most of these waterfalls are, this is a very underrated free-falling waterfall, plunging 70 feet off the Lost Wall. People also walk behind it, and the very remote location makes it a very tranquil experience. At number 18, Dukes Creek Falls. This breathtaking waterfall is located near Helton, Georgia as well. It features a series of cascades that drops a total of 150 feet into Dukes Creek below. There are a few different overlooks where you can view the falls, and there are many different sections of it as well. And at number 19, Emery Creek Falls. This is a pretty good 40-foot Georgia waterfall with 2 different sections, but what I like about it is the ability to hang out in the upper section of the falls. But the adventurous part, the hike there had about 11 creek crossings only one way. So 22 total there and back. And considering we did this during the wintertime, my feet were freezing. But a very memorable adventure. So located near one of my favorite Georgia mountain towns, Ellijay, is Fall Branch Falls. After a very quick hike, this sliding cascade waterfall also has an area at the top to hang out at. So if you're gonna come here, I recommend stopping by Ellijay. But if you're gonna go to Ellijay, I recommend stopping by here. It's quick, it's a little bit of exercise, and the waterfall is worth it. And at number 21, Fall Creek Waterfall. The hike to Fall Creek Waterfall is actually a little difficult, especially the very steep trek back up. However, it's one of the most beautiful but lowly populated unknown waterfalls in the state. It cascades 80 feet into a shallow pool at the bottom, tucked away in a remote section near Jasper, Georgia, and on the way back, take a look at Burnt Mount Overlook as well. Definitely a cool spot. But at number 22, Helton Creek Falls. Helton Creek Falls is a very quick hike. It's a quaint waterfall where the upper falls are about 30 feet, but the lower falls roughly 60 feet. It has an overlook at the top, and the large shallow pool at the bottom is definitely something that I hear people play in during the warmer months. Always be careful of the current if you choose to do something like that. And next up, Hemlock Falls in Cloudland Canyon. I touched on this earlier. It's the second waterfall on the Waterfalls Trail in Cloudland Canyon. However, considering the very large drop, serene pool, and weathered boulder at the bottom while surrounded by an epic gorge, I labeled this waterfall one of Georgia's top 12 most beautiful waterfalls in the state. But aside from that, definitely a worthy hike to this waterfall. And next up is Hemlock Falls, same name, however this one is in Rabun County. While Hemlock Falls is a pretty standard waterfall, not too tall, only 15 feet, pretty cool how it's relatively wide and a very large pool at the bottom, I will say I love the hiking trail to it. It's a very fun, adventurous, and scenic trek in the heart of Georgia's rainiest county. This adds to the strength of the rapids and very lush vegetation. Overall, definitely recommend a visit. And next up, High Falls or Tift County Waterfall on the Tawalaga River. Sorry if I mispronounced that, but this waterfall is amazing. It's also one of my favorite waterfalls in the state, and it's a total of 135 feet. This makes it the tallest waterfall that's south of Atlanta. But I also love how unique it is. Due to its location, it's in Georgia's Piedmont region. So unlike the steep mountainous terrain of North Georgia, the falls flow over exposed granite and other metamorphic rock formations. This creates a wide, cascading falls rather than vertical drops. Furthermore, the hike also has remnants of a ghost town. And next up, I also touched on this one as well a little bit earlier, High Shoals Falls. This is the next waterfall after going through Blue Hole Falls, which is the waterfall with the swinging rope. However, this one is much bigger at 50 feet, and because of its unique, dramatic two-tier cascade surrounded by lush, serene surroundings, it's definitely a worthy waterfall. And just the way it's formed, how it cascades, how it rolls, it happens to be one of my favorite waterfalls in the state of Georgia as well. And at number 27, Hightower Falls. So I haven't been here yet because also it's not open to the public, but according to the pictures, it's a very beautiful 80-foot waterfall. The property serves as a venue for private events such as weddings or gatherings. Therefore, maybe you'll get lucky and get invited to a wedding or some sort of event to see this waterfall in person. And next up, probably the most underrated waterfall in the state of Georgia and one of my overall favorites, Holcomb Creek Falls. This massive 120-foot drop is about entirely visible from the overlook, but the incredibly secluded location of this wonder also adds to the appeal, let alone how it's shaped, the various cascades, areas where it free falls, areas where it rolls. I just love everything about this waterfall. I really do. And next up, Horse Trough Falls. This is also an underrated waterfall. It's amazing, and it's very beautiful since the 70-foot drop is very wide and you're able to see the entire thing in plain sight. Unfortunately though, you must drive about 30 minutes pretty slow on dirt country mountainous road. That's probably why not too many people know about this waterfall. However, if you make it there, it's awesome. A very, very peaceful trip. And at number 30, Hurricane Falls. Here is another great one, but what makes this one of the most visited waterfalls in the state of Georgia is a few things. A, it's in Tallulah Gorge, which is one of the state's 7 natural wonders, but also, it's not located on the Floor Gorge Trail. Therefore, you don't need a permit to visit it, making it much more accessible. I'll also note there's a few different waterfalls in this gorge, but this one happens to be directly above the very notable suspension bridge. So this next one is Jacks River Falls, and this one I haven't visited yet. However, it is open to the public. It's a 15-foot waterfall, and apparently the trail is a lot of fun, even though it's very strenuous. However, but according to pictures, it just seems like a relatively typical 15-foot waterfall. And next up, the very rare Keown Falls. And why do I say this type of waterfall is rare? Well, not only can you walk right behind it, but it's also at the top of a mountain. How often do you get to see a waterfall at the top of a mountain? So while we were here in freezing weather, it was very icy, which was really cool. But I also really enjoyed how right after the waterfall, just 20 steps up, is a very nice summit view. It's located on Johns Mountain and definitely a worthy trail. At number 33 is Long Creek Falls, and it's located on a very scenic stretch of the Southern Appalachian Trail. It's a 50-foot rolling, sliding waterfall. To be honest, it's actually kind of surprising how popular this waterfall is, since the drive to the waterfall is 45 minutes one way on a very slow dirt road. Granted, I'm happy that it is, and I'm happy that more people are getting out to hike. Next up is Lower Black Falls, and this is the first waterfall on the Montgomery Waterfall Trail located near Dahlonega. However, it's kind of hidden considering that it's on an offshoot path from the main trail. Granted, while you're walking on the main path, you'll definitely hear it. When you do, you'll find some sort of split-off path leading you to the falls. This next one is Lulu Falls, and this one is kind of interesting considering that it's not open to the public, being on private property. It is open a few days out of the month. You have to look up which days that it's open, and I also believe that they charge a fee. Many people that go say it's absolutely amazing, and according to pictures, it is amazing. It's a 120-foot free-falling waterfall on Lulu Lake Land Trust. And the reason why I haven't gone yet is because every time that they're open, it didn't really add up to my calendar and schedule and random stuff like that. Very long, boring story short. And next up is Martin Creek Falls. I haven't been to this waterfall either. It's on the same trail as the Becky Branch Waterfall. However, Becky Branch Waterfall is right next to the trailhead. When I was here, it was getting dark really quickly. By the time I would have gotten to Martin Creek Falls, it would have been pitch black by the time I would be walking back to my car. I didn't want to do that, so therefore, there's a picture of Martin Creek Falls. It looks really nice, actually. It's a 35-foot cascading waterfall, and yeah, that is my story. But next up, one of the most rewarding waterfalls for an extremely quick hike, Minnehaha Falls. This waterfall is so cool. It's like a mega massive staircase, relatively rough cascading current. And the reason why the currents here are usually rough is because it's in Rabun County, the rainiest county in the state. Thus, amazing nature. And this waterfall is also near Tallulah Gorge, another amazing must-see place. And also the trail, Panther Falls and Angel Falls Trail. Highly recommend this one. And the next one, Montgomery Falls. This is one of the waterfalls in Georgia that hasn't been entirely discovered yet. Considering it doesn't draw a crowd, while it's a pretty decent waterfall near the amazing mountain town Dahlonega, it's kind of confusing to me, to be honest. But that's okay. That's why you guys have this channel, to find new things and new ideas to live a more fulfilling life. But also, this is the same waterfall hike with Lower Black Falls. And next up, Oceana Falls. This is an amazing waterfall in my opinion. It's located in the Tallulah Gorge like many on this list, but what makes it amazing is the fact that you walk alongside this waterfall down on the floor gorge. Being here, doing this, feels very adventurous. I kind of felt like I was in Jurassic Park for some reason when I was doing this. I have no idea why Jurassic Park popped in my head, but Jurassic Park popped in my head. Next up is Panther Creek Falls. This is another amazing waterfall. Not only is it pretty cool that you can view both upper falls and the lower section, but the lower section is a wide waterfall, so the current on most days isn't too tough. So as a result, many people like to play in the falls and swim in the swimming hole, making it a lot more enjoyable in my opinion. But when it comes to the hike, if you do all of the split off paths on this trail, it's one of the most rewarding but difficult hikes in the state. And at number 41, Panther Falls. Panther Falls is a 50-foot waterfall in Rabun County, also on the same hike as Angel Falls that we touched on earlier. It's a narrow staircase-like waterfall that gives it a pretty cool effect. Kind of reminds me of a waterfall rolling off of a pyramid. I don't know. But anyways, next up is Raven Cliff Falls, and this one is very unique. It's a 40-foot double waterfall plunging through a split cliff. The hike is also great with many other smaller waterfalls along the way as well, but this is definitely a really cool one to check out. It's also relatively popular and it's near Helton, Georgia. Again, a huge tourist attraction in the area. And at number 43, this is Roswell Mill Waterfall. However, let me say this. I believe it's the only partially man-made waterfall on this list, and I also believe it's one of the only partially man-made waterfalls in the state. However, I decided to add it since it's still actually a really cool waterfall. Within the Roswell Historic District, the 30-foot waterfall is part of Vickery Creek, which flows near the historic Roswell Mill. So on the same hike, you can also check out the historic Roswell Mill from the 1830s and this waterfall. And next up, Sea Creek Falls. This is a 30-foot, relatively unpopular, but very peaceful waterfall in the state of Georgia. It has a very shallow pool at the bottom, and after a quick hike, it makes a good spot for just a very relaxing day trip. Coming in at number 45, Tabor Falls. This is another very peaceful but lowly populated waterfall in Georgia. If I'm going to be honest, a very standard forest. It kind of reminds me of walking through my buddy's backyard when I was growing up. Not too much old growth forest. However, as I've said in the past, a boring trail is much better than not being on a trail. But anyways, next up, one of my favorite waterfalls in the state, Toccoa Falls. It's also one of the 5 tallest waterfalls in the state as well. A 186-foot free-falling waterfall, making it one of the tallest free-falling waterfall drops east of the Mississippi. It's located in Toccoa Falls College, however, open to the public within certain times. Just look it up before getting there. But truly, a magnificent waterfall. Definitely recommend a visit here. And at number 47, almost done, ladies and gentlemen, is Tenaya Creek Falls, aka Allatoona Falls. This is one of the only waterfalls in Georgia, as far as I know, that's accessible by boat. We also kayak and paddleboarded there, but many people say that this waterfall is a lot of fun to play in. Also, a jumping rock nearby, which is pretty cool. But be careful, it is pretty slippery. However, next up, Tralita Falls. It's located within Vogel State Park, which is near Blairsville. It's a very scenic 80-foot cascade waterfalls with a viewing overlook. And lastly, Walden Creek Waterfall, or some even call it High Shoals Falls on Walden Creek. Whatever you want to call it, either way, it's a very peaceful, small waterfall drop, and it's one of the most secluded waterfall hiking trails in the state. Definitely recommend a visit if you like peaceful waterfalls. That was it, guys. 49 waterfalls in the state of Georgia. Write down below the waterfalls I missed, or if you've been to any of these, let people know your experiences so people get ideas of where to go, where not to go. We're all just trying to live a more fulfilling, fun life, and hiking to waterfalls is an easy, mostly free way of doing that. And in case you want to see a video on my 12 absolute favorite waterfalls in the state of these 49, see that video right here. Thank you so much for watching. Have a blessed day.